The Greeks have pioneered in so many ways for the greater good of humankind. They have showed courage throughout history and have been on the right side of history. What is their secret? Perhaps it is the idea of Philotimo. What is Philotimo? No other language has a word for this uniquely Greek term. It is considered a complex constellation of values that is difficult to define. All Greeks know it, even if they've never heard the word before, until now.
It's hard to think of a word more packed with meaning, more packed with positive values than Philotimo. It's a perfect word.
Philotimo. I'd actually say uniquely Greek concept.
It seemed to sum up the best of the Greek character.
It's a word that describes a way of life.
Philotimia. It's a sense of how people feel towards humanity, fellow humans.
The Greek spirit of doing what's right and what's honorable, even when one's own interests and maybe even one's own life are placed in peril.
Whether it means you're going to earn less money, or whether it means that not everybody is going to love you. Philotimo means you're doing it based on your whole sense of duty.
I believe Philotimo is the most unique word that a human being has to express himself.
The ancient Greeks were smart enough to come up with a word that described things that are subtle, that have nuances.
It's not very easily translatable unless you bring together many different elements.
Duty, honor, courage.
Personal sacrifice, higher calling.
Taking pride in their work.
Compassion and generosity.
It's about honor, it's also about knowledge.
A duty to do what is right.
To rise above pettiness and trivialities.
Human kindness, empathy.
Humility and pride. Love of family, love of country.
To think about those that maybe haven't been quite as fortunate.
It is within the DNA of Greeks, and I think of humanity overall. But it's something which has to be inspired.
Most of us, and certainly in my case, I try to live up to the word as often as I can in my life.
To live not just for yourself, but for something larger than yourself.
All of these things embody not only the classical ideals of the Greek people, but some of the attributes of the modern Greeks, including Greek Americans.
If we live by these values, we will do well and thrive.
Philotimo comes from the two Greek words, philos, which means friend, and timi, which is honor.
Philotimo could be translated as love of honor or respect for honor.
It's love and honor, but it's not the honor about you, it's the honor within you that's inculcated generationally.
Every once in a while, you're put to the test as to whether you have Philotimo and how much Philotimo you have.
We derive our personal honor in significant measure for those things we engage in that are beyond our own self-interest.
Honor, glory, the desire to be remembered, motivated some of the most heroic acts in ancient Greek history.
You find it in the great battles. You find it at the Pass of Thermopylae. They knew that they were going to die. There were 300 Spartans against all the Persians.
But there was no greater glory than dying for their country, their way of life.
They knew that they're going to pay a very heavy price, the heaviest price that you can ever pay, but they still did what they thought was the right thing to do.
They figured out at a basic level that reciprocity, the act of ruling and being ruled by others, and doing it in a reciprocal way, it works.
Each individual contributing to the whole of Greek society in the ancient world, I think, propelled all kinds of ancillary developments. It was a very fertile ground for critical thinking.
Even after Rome conquered Greece, they really didn't conquer their culture. Their culture conquered Rome.
It carried over from the ancient Greeks through the Byzantine period into modern Greek culture today.
And it is really a remarkable treasure that has permeated every aspect of Western civilization and really part and parcel of what makes up most of the democracies of the world now.
Philotimo as a composite and complex term involving decency, dignity, respect, honesty, truthfulness, sincerity. You might use the term in a motivating power for a child. Have the Philotimo of doing your homework. Or you might have something in a condition of philanthropy, philanthropic assistance. Then there is in a question form, don't you have the Philotimo to assist the people who are in need? In the New Testament, we have 3 times we have the usage of the term as a verb by St. Paul. One of them is very beautiful. He says, Philotimoome, I have this type of noble ambition to come to Rome, writing to the Romans, and even preach the gospel and elaborate the gospel to you.
What God asked us to do is to give in others without asking for anything in return but love and affection.
Whenever you mention the word Philotimo to a Greek, you're always going to see a softening of the eye.
I was born and raised in Greece, so Philotimo was a word that I heard all my life.
My mother, my father would always talk about Philotimo. My grandparents would always talk about Philotimo.
My parents, my sister, my teachers, my classmates, everybody.
My Greek background gave me strength of character. What does that mean? Don't pick on me, you're going to get a poke in the nose.
When I played the music very loud, and by doing so I was disturbing the neighbors, my father would say, don't you have any Philotimo?
Every time that you deviate from honorable and decent, a dignified way of behaving and living, people will ask you, don't you have Philotimo?
If you don't act correctly, the community will look down on you. You don't only embarrass yourself, you embarrass your entire family.
When you go outside of your home, you're not just going by yourself. You're taking the name of your father and your mother with you.
That is a very unique aspect of our community and our culture. You feel as though you are accountable much far beyond yourself, to your family, to your community, and to your history, your legacy. You can see Philotimo today during Greece's Great Depression. People rallied around each other and society kept its cohesion.
I would actually call it a sort of a binding undercurrent of what unites Greeks around the world together.
The great philosopher Thalys, what he said that Philotimo is like you breathe.